Put your faith in the light.
Hello guys, welcome to another one of my videos. This is Lightblade. Well guys, in this video we're going to be talking about the Retribution Paladin trees. Yes, they're finally here from Dragonflight. And there's a lot of stuff that's happening here. So I'm going to talk first about the general talent trees for Red Paladins for both single target and Mythic Plus. Then I'm going to talk for a Mythic Plus build that I did. And then I'm going to talk about small changes that I did to make it a bit more single target for those you guys that like to do raids and stuff. Everything here is prone to changes, so there's going to be a lot of stuff that's not going to be the same if you watch this video like on a further date than now. So having said that, now let's go to talking about the talent trees. Okay guys, let's talk about the general Retribution Paladin talents. So these are the ones that all Paladins can pick, but we're gonna pick the ones best suited for Retribution Paladin. So first row, Hammer of Wrath is already taken, baseline for Retribution Paladin, same as Retribution Aura, which had a change. Now it not only gives you wings when someone dies, but if someone gets chunked by 50% of their health, it will actually give you Seraphim for 6 seconds, which is really powerful. You know, it can't happen every 30 seconds, but still really strong and an improvement over the old Retribution Aura. Okay, so first row, we're always going to take Lay on Hands. It's just too good to pass out, you know. It's a lifesaver. It's like oh crap button, so take it always. Freedom, you can actually skip it, but I'm just gonna take it here because it's just a core Paladin thing, you know. There's also 9 out of 10 times going to be a slow in a dungeon, so it's going to be pretty useful. After that, we take Concentration and Devotion Aura just to open these nodes. Having the Devo Aura is nice if your group doesn't want to have, well, if you don't want to use like your Retribution Aura for whatever reason, because it's a 3% damage reduction on everyone, so it's pretty good. Okay, after that we're going to take Horse because we need the mobility, we need the Horse. Even though it's not the best mobility spell out there, we actually need Horse. After that, we go to this choose one node, and we're going to take Blinding Light instead of Repentance. This is because Blinding Light has so much value in Mythic Plus dungeons, because it's AOE interrupt. Well, AOE is pseudo interrupt, you know, so it's really strong, especially when dealing with a lot of casters and big pulls and all those stuff. So now we're going to go to this Holy Aegis. This gives you 2% critical strike and armor on the first pick, and the second one should give you another 2%. So actually it's 4% armor and critical strike. We don't care about the armor, but we do care about the critical strike. So we pick that because it's extra damage. After that, we have a chance to improve our horse, either give it 2 charges and give it duration. So I'm just going to go with the 2 charges. You know, I'm not going to go for the duration because I don't really think we need that much of the duration. There's a lot of other options that we can take downstairs on the Retribution Paladin tree to improve our mobility. So I'm just gonna leave the duration there. So Fist of Justice is the next option here, because having more stuns is really good for Red Paladins. After that, we're going to take Seal of Alacrity. This just gives us a bit of haste. It's nothing important. After that, we're going to take Rebuke. Always take your kick on Mythic Plus dungeons. Don't let me find out that there's Retribution Paladins out there not taking the kick, because it can save your life so many times, you know. Just by kicking and interrupts a really important spell, you can save your group or yourself, you know. So always take kick. The other 2 options here, like Turn Evil and Seal of Templar, are laughable. Turn Evil is too niche to be useful, and Seal of the Templar increases our range by a whopping 3 yards, which is such a bad increase, you know. And also you have to use either your Charger or a Crusader Aura, which I don't think it's worth it. After that, we're going to pick here our Wings. Yes, Wings is actually a talent in Dragonflight, so you always pick that talent. After that, we're going to the next row, and actually here you can take Blessing of Sacrifice if you remove a point on Holy Aegis. You know, if your group actually needs that Blessing of Sacrifice, you can take it. It's a pretty nice utility to have. For now, I'm just gonna leave it not taken. Okay, Judgment here, and after Judgment Improvement here, those 2 are basically the same things that we have now as baseline Judgment. One gives it the ability to generate Holy Power, and the other one makes it debuff the target. After that, we're going to take Seal of Reprisal, which is basically a no-brainer because it increases the damage of our Holy Power spending abilities by 20%. Then we're going to take Blessing of Protection, another core utility for any Retribution Paladin. And then we have a choose one node here. So Holy Avenger and Divine Purpose. I don't know why Blizzard keeps Holy Avenger here. This is just a garbage talent. They should remove it and put something else. It's not worth it. Never take Holy Avenger. 3-minute Paladin is never going to happen. We take Divine Purpose, just really good. It's the same as Divine Purpose now, gives 50% of your Holy Power spending abilities to make it free, and deal extra damage. After that, we take Obdurancy and increases the speed and avoidance. It's always nice to have some avoidance, so we can open this choose one node. So here the wording is kind of weird. So the first thing is Touch of Light. Touch of Light sounds good, you know, but the wording is weird. It makes your target erupt in blinding light, dealing holy damage or healing allies, you know. So I don't know if this is AoE or single target. If it's single target, I'd rather take the other one, Incandescence. If it's AoE, I'm actually thinking of taking Touch of Light. So for now, it's going to be Incandescence. Incandescence makes it so you have a 15% proc chance to deal holy damage, medium holy damage, up to 5 enemies standing in your consecration, which, well, we don't actually know what's medium holy damage, but I guess it's pretty decent, you know, if it's doing AoE damage, and we're going in a Mythic Plus dungeon. After that, we're going to take Seal of the Crusader. This is a really old ability from vanilla. This is the thing that those guys in Scarlet Monastery had and applied to the player back then. It wasn't a player ability. We had Seal of Crusader like as a seal ability, but it wasn't this thing. So it's a really old callback. After that, we're going to take Mad Paragon. Mad Paragon is actually really good in Dragonflight because it not only works with Hammer of Wrath, it actually works with Judgments now. So both spells have will extend your Avenging Wrath or Crusade, and also deal 10% increased damage. So that's pretty huge. You're going to have like 35-second wings, even more maybe if you have enough haste. Okay, after that, we're going to improve our wings with Avenging Wrath rank 2, so it's a 2-minute cooldown. Then we're going to take 3 points in Seal of Might, so it increases mastery whenever we have wings, and since I told you guys that we can have really long wings, this is also going to get extended. Okay, now we have 2 options here, actually 3. The first one is Unbreakable Spirit, which is just a take and forget talent, just it reduces the cooldown of our major defensive abilities. And the other one is really interesting. We are getting Blessing of Spellwarding. This can be game changer for Retribution Paladin utility because Blessing of Spellwarding kind of cheeses a lot of mechanics, you know. And well, the other option of the choose one node is reduce the cooldown of Bob 60 seconds, which is pretty boring, you know. So the real option here is either you have reduced cooldown on your defensives or you take Blessing of Spellwarding. That's going to take a lot of thinking of dungeon by dungeon base, you know. So for now, I'm just gonna leave it as Unbreakable Spirit, you know, so we don't have any confusion there. Now the last point we're gonna put here is Sanctified Wrath. So we have the option of choosing Seraphim or Sanctified Wrath, but we do get a lot of Seraphims from a lot of other talents in the Retribution specific talent tree, and we also get Seraphim for free if we take Retribution Aura. So I don't think it's necessary to take Seraphim here. We can go with Sanctified Wrath. Sadly, this isn't the Sanctified Wrath we currently have in Shadowlands, the one with the explosions and big AoE damage. This one is the Protection Paladin version of Sanctified Wrath, which makes it so whenever we Judgment stuff, we get an additional Holy Power, which is okay, you know. It's a lot of Holy Power generation within our wings duration, which is strong, you know, because like I said before, it's going to be a long wings, like 35-second wings or something like that, and it also increases the duration of those said wings. So it's a pretty decent option here. So those are the general talents that we're going to take, guys. Now let's go to the Mythic Plus build, Retribution specific talents. Okay guys, now let's talk about the interesting things, specific Retribution Paladin talents. So basically this first part, like the first 4 rows, the game is basically just giving us our basic Retribution Paladin toolset, you know. So there's not much choice we can have here. There's some though. The first options, Blade of Justice, Divine Storm, and Art of War are just a given. After that we take Improved Crusader Strike to have 2 charges on that thing, and we take Holy Blade to make Blade of Justice generate 2 Holy Power as normal. Here we have a choice though, and we can take either Timely Judgment or we can take Condemning Blade. Don't take this Swift Crusader, it's just a trap. 2% haste is not worth it to take here. So either take Timely Judgment or Condemning Blade, like I said. I'm going to take Timely Judgment because I want that ability to be on a lower cooldown, because that's going to help us extend our wings in combination with the Mad Paragon talent. After that we get options like Hyler's Judgment, Shield of Vengeance, and Expurgation. We take all of those. Expurgation is really nice because it makes our Blade of Justice actually scale with mastery because of the burn damage. Shield of Vengeance is our only defenses, so we take that so we can open the next nodes, and Hyler's Judgment just increases the damage of our Judgment spell. Okay, now the really interesting stuff is here. So as you can see, the talent tree becomes a bit more convoluted here, so I'm just going to go from left to right. First talent here on the left, we have Calm Before the Storm. Enemies hit by your Divine Storm take 50% more damage from your Consecration. This is really powerful because we have ways to get 2 Consecrations with this new talent tree for Retribution Paladins. So this is going to actually make Consecration hit like a normal thing, you know, because currently it hits like a wet noodle, but in Dragonflight it's actually going to have a lot of synergy with our kit. Next one we don't take is Righteous Verdict. This is a single target talent. It's not very useful in Mythic Plus dungeons. Next option, we have a node, a pick node, so we can pick either Zeal or Boundless Judgment. With this build, I'm going to go with Zeal instead of Boundless Judgment. So Boundless Judgment makes it so your Judgment has a 25% chance to chain to a nearby enemy, so it bounces to one target. It's pretty neat, you know, but I still think Zeal is going to be better with this build that I'm making because I'm still relying on proc and auto attacks and having like a lot of haste to make this build work. After that, we pick Wake of Ashes, as obviously we have to because it's just too strong. And well, we have Consecrated Blade here. So Blade of Justice, whenever we use an Art of War proc, this is what I was saying about the Consecration. It can proc a Consecration under the target, and it has its own Consecration limit of 1. So whenever we proc an Art of War, we will get a Consecration on a target, and we can actually put another Consecration on top of that, the normal like hard cast Consecration we have. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good, you know. It's a good approach of without removing Consecration, like I said before. I really wanted them to remove Consecration. I didn't like that spell, but this approach they have taken is pretty interesting. I like it. After that, we take Blade of Wrath because it increases the proc chance of our Blade of Justice and Art of War by 100%, so it's really nice. After that, we don't take Last Rites. Every third successful judgment, it increases 15% critical chance and deals more damage as wholly to its target. We're not going to take it because we're not taking a judgment-focused build here. We're taking a more proc-style-based build. Okay, now let's go to the next row. So here we're not going to take Consecrated Ground. This is really, really nice utility. It makes your Consecration bigger, and it also makes it slow targets 50% of the 50%. So this can be really bad on certain weeks like Sanguine if you slow mobs on the blood, you know. So this talent you might want to take or not depending on the situation. On spiteful weeks, it can be really, really powerful. On weeks where your tank needs to kite and doesn't have a strong slow, this can also be powerful. So for now, I'm just gonna leave it not taken, you know, but it can have a lot of uses. The next one is Choose Node. So here you have Inner Power, which makes it so whenever you're in combat, every 10 seconds you generate 1 holy power, or Sanctification. Consecration's periodic damage has a chance to grant you 1 holy power. So the good one here is Consecration, because Consecration, unless there's only 1 target and the proc rate is really low on this talent, inner power is going to be better. But I'm thinking this is going to proc on multiple targets, you know, so it can give you a lot of holy power duration, I guess. I'm not sure how this is going to work in AOE, if it's only going to proc on 1 of the ticks of damage or on all the ticks of damage. If it's all the ticks of damage, this is going to be huge. Anyways, we're gonna leave it as Sanctification for now, since we're going with a bit more of a Consecration focused build. After that, we have a talent node for Wake of Ashes. So we can either pick our current Foresight bonus, a bit nerfed though. It's not 50%, it's 35% of chance to reset our cooldown of Wake of Ashes instead of Blade of Justice. Or we can take Path of Ruin, which makes our Wake of Ashes holy power spending ability instead of a holy power generator. It makes it so it deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets, similar to Divine Storm, instead of the normal just 1 target as Wake of Ashes. And it has a 15-second cooldown, which is kind of okay-ish, you know. The good thing about being a holy power generator, has synergy with our holy power increasing damage abilities, you know. There's a lot of those. We also are using Final Reckoning with this build, which I will show down a bit. So for now, I'm just gonna leave it as Ashes to Dust, you know. I like to have procs of Wake of Ashes with this build. Anyways, after that we have Execution Sentence. We're not gonna take it because it's a single target talent. Truth Wake is really bad here. It only increases the burn damage is only 10% of the damage of Wake of Ashes, which is a really big nerf compared to the current Conduit. The Conduit is 28% of the damage of the Wake of Ashes, so don't take this thing unless they buff it. 10% is just too low. After that, Imperium Power is returning. Yes, finally Imperium Power is returning. We can use it here for Mythic Plus dungeons whenever we Crusader Strike. We did have Crusader, the Imperium Power in Shadowlands, but we haven't been using it because of the tier set. But now we can actually use it. Crusader Strike have 15% chance to make your Divine Storm free and deal extra damage, which is always nice to have. You know, just spam those Divine Storms. On top of having this and Divine Purpose, it's going to be a spam fiesta of Divine Storms. Then we have Deemed Worthy. This is another Judgment specific talent. We're not using a Judgment build, so we're not gonna take that. Every third Judgment increases the holy damage done to your target to 4%. It's not that big. 4% to one target, it's not that huge. Even if it bounces with the other, like this, with the Boundless Judgment, it's not that good. Like 4% on two targets, it's not that strong. Okay, let's go to the next row. So Long Arm of the Law. This is what I was talking about when I said we don't actually need the extra duration on a horse, because whenever we judgment something, we're going to get a burst of 20% movement speed. So I think this is just enough to not need the extra horse duration, you know? Judgment and we can move fast. You know, that's pretty good. It gives us some nice mobility on combat without using a cooldown like our horse. You know, we can use horse for emergencies. After that, we're having a return of Exorcism. Yes, Exorcism is returning. A lot of people wanted this spell. I don't know why. I actually didn't miss it that much from the old days. But it's now back, which is really good. And also gives us uncapped AoE, because whenever you Exorcism something in your consecration, this thing will deal damage, and it will deal a dot on everything that's on the consecration, which is, I think, pretty huge, you know? It's a lot of extra, like, sustained damage that they're giving to Retribution Paladins. I like this. It has a 20-second cooldown, but still, it's pretty strong. It also stuns on deaths, so it's like similar to a Wake of Ashes, you know? Pretty strong ability. Okay, after that, we got our slow. We're not going to take our slow for now. You can take the single target slow. Probably in PvP is going to be a mandatory thing if your group doesn't have like a slow, but for now, we're just not gonna take it. This is another Executioner's Will, is another single target talent. We're not gonna take it because it improves our execution sentence. So if you're not taking execution sentence, we don't take Executioner's Will. Next one is a choose node. It's Healing Hands and Selfless Healer. Both options are fine. I'm just gonna go with Selfless Healer for now. After that, we got Tempest of the Lightbringer, which is basically our current legendary from Shadowlands, that it makes it so it projects forward and deals extra damage on capped AoE. Pretty nice. Then we have another choose node, which is a horrible node. This is an affront to God, because it has Eye for an Eye and Justicar's Vengeance. Both are garbage talents. Probably Eye for an Eye has uses in PvP, but Justicar's Vengeance is just so bad. Never choose anything on this node. It's so bad. Don't even look at it. Okay, now let's go to the next row. So here we have Virtuous Command, which is basically the conduit that we have in Shadowlands. It makes it so our abilities do extra holy damage after we use a judgment. Templars Medication, another conduit from Shadowlands, is coming over. I'm not going to pick it because it's mostly a single target focused conduit. So this is a Mythic Plus build. I'm not going to pick it. Relentless Inquisitor. This is a legendary that we currently have in Shadowlands. It's not actually working correctly. It doesn't show the exact number of stacks that it's going to give you. Even if you put 2 points, it's still going to show 1 haste per finisher per every 12 seconds. So I think it's going to give a bit more haste, which is really, really good with this build, because we're actually stacking a ton of haste, because we're going to go and use Crusade. Yes. Okay, let's talk about the next row. The next row is really, really interesting. So we're getting Ashes to Ashes, which is our current 2-piece tier set bonus. Whenever we proc Art of War, we get Seraphim. So that's the reason I told you guys we are not going to take Seraphim here on the Paladin general tree, because we get Seraphim from 2 places. We get it from our Retribution Aura, and we get it from our Ashes to Ashes thing. Taking this also allows us to take the Final Reckon. Yes, we are going to use the 1-minute build here on top of the 2-minute build, because we can like fuse them together to make a monster build. Final Reckoning is the same thing as we have in Shadowlands. It increases the damage from Holy Power Spender abilities by 50% for 8 seconds, and it deals uncapped AoE damage on the explosion itself. Having that with the Seraphim procs is a lot of extra multiplicative damage on top of Crusade. Yes, we're going to take Crusade here. Crusade is just really powerful with this build because we're getting so much haste from Crusade, from Relentless Inquisitor, from other sources here like Seraphim, that we can just build our stacks so fast and then stack Crusade on top of Final Reckoning when we have full stacks of Crusade and just smash our target to death. That allows us to take Liadrin's Fury, which is an old Legion legendary. Whenever we have Avenger Rat up, or well, Crusade, every 5 seconds we gain 1 free holy power. Since we're going to be extending our wings for a long duration, this is going to generate us a lot of holy power in that cooldown window, you know? So the talents we're not taking here is Divine Toll. Yes, sadly Divine Toll didn't make the cut if we compare it to the current talents we have here. Even though Divine Toll is a pretty strong spell in Shadowlands, compared to Final Reckoning and Crusade on these 2 rows, it just doesn't pale in comparison, you know? Even the Divine Resonance just pales in comparison to having like Liadrin's Fury, because Liadrin's Fury is going to give you overall more holy power generation if you play your Crusade or Wings window better, you know? If you extend it enough, it's going to be so much better than Divine Resonance. Also, you don't actually need Divine Toll to make your Final Reckoning 1-minute build work, because we have so much extra holy power generation from other abilities that Divine Toll kind of feels redundant. Okay, the next talents that we are not taking are Vanguard's Momentum and Final Verdict. Yeah, well, this is basically because this is a AOE build, but even in the single target build, we're actually not going to take Final Verdict because there's giving up Final Reckoning and giving up Crusade is not worth it getting the Final Verdict talent here. And Vanguard's Momentum is really clunky, you know, even if it gives us an extra charge on Hammer of Wrath to like synergize with Crusade and Mad Paragon, I don't think it's worth to put a point in it. So guys, those are our talents for our Mythic Plus build. As you can see, we have a ton of extra sustain AoE. Even though if it's a lot of focus on Consecration, it's still really good. I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of improvements on this talent, especially like on the general tree maybe, and our defensive tree. I hope the defensive options that they gave us here on this choose node can actually be something useful. Eye for an Eye and Justicar Vengeance are so bad. Anyways guys, let's go now to my single target options on the talent tree. Okay guys, so for single target, there's not many changes that happen in the specific Retribution Paladin 3, there's some though, and for the general one, there's nothing, everything is basically the same. So, the first change in the specific Retribution Paladin 3 is this, Righteous Verdict. So we're going to pick this because it's really good. It's a pretty simple single target talent. Templar's Verdict increases the damage of the next Templar's Verdict by 15% for 6 seconds. Pretty simple, pretty nice. After that, we got Execution Sentence. Yes, this is back in Dragonflight, and it's really powerful because it gets improved further with Executioner's Will. Templar's Verdict extends the duration of your active execution sentence on your target by 1 second. Can't extend the duration beyond 8 seconds. So the wording on this is kind of confusing. I'm thinking that it actually makes it so your execution sentence now lasts for 16 seconds because you add the 8 from the baseline and then the 8 from this and gives you 16. So I'm thinking that's how this talent is going to work. I don't have any way to test it now because, well, I don't have alpha. So, but if I find something, I will make a small community post about how this thing works in live, you know? Anyways, after that we're going to make one more change here, and this is Templar's Vindication. Instead of taking Relentless Inquisitor, we're just going to take another talent that it further improves our single target damage and burst inside the execution sentence window. After that, everything is pretty much the same. Divine Toll still doesn't compete with Crusade or Final Reckoning here, and Vanguard's Momentum still is kind of bad, and Final Verdict also doesn't make the cut here. So these are the talents that we have currently for Retribution Paladin and Dragonflight, guys. I'm really thinking they have to make some improvements, especially on our defensive side. A lot of our defensive talents are so bad, especially this node. Like I said before, don't even look at it. Eye for an Eye and Justicar's Vengeance. What were they thinking? These talents are so bad. They should give us Divine Protection or something like that. Anyways, guys, that's all for the video today. You know, this is a very early look on these talents, so they're prone to changes. So don't crucify me in the comments if something changes and it's not like I said here. Anyways, guys, if you like my content, subscribe to the channel and like the video. Thanks for watching, everyone.